Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Week 8 presentation. This week, we are reflecting on George Marsden's book, The Outrageous Idea of Christian Scholarship. Marsden's book examines the relationship between our Christian faith and intellectual scholarship. Marsden argues that mainstream American higher education needs to be more open to explicit expressions of faith and to accept what faith means in an intellectual context. Throughout the book, he discusses arguments for excluding religious viewpoints, such as empirical evidence versus a faith-based viewpoint, the fear that Christians will renew the position of oppressing divergent views, which has happened in the past, the misrepresented separation of church and state argument that we hear from Jefferson's letter to the Danbury Baptists versus what the First Amendment actually says, and other standard arguments presented by other scholars in our field. Marsden goes on to argue that Christian scholars have an obligation to stand up for their belief, since it can make a significant difference in many ways. In addition to Marsden's book, I selected 3 scholarly sources. Let's start with the first scholarly article, which is Harold Bush's article, The Outrageous Idea of a Christian Literary Studies, Prospects for the Future and a Meditation on Hope, in the journal Christianity and Literature, published in the autumn of 2001. Bush points out that Marsden's insight in his book is brilliant, and in a postmodern environment which claims to welcome all viewpoints and all identities, it becomes impossible to eliminate one viewpoint merely as a consequence of past actions, politics, so on and so forth. How can we say that the Word of God has nothing to contribute to our understanding of such things? Bush goes on to point out that feminists, Africanists, Marxists, and psychoanalytic critics lie awake at night, dreaming up intriguing and original angles on their fields of study. He goes on to say that Christians have much to contribute to these theoretical areas, and aspects of postmodernism support the fundamental right to claim as much. The second scholarly article is Mark Edwards' review of Marsden's book from the Fides et Historia journal. Edwards concludes in his review that Marsden is calling for Christians to bring their viewpoints and perspectives back into the pluralistic conversation of American intellectual and scholarly life versus continuing their normal chastened behavior that we see today. The third scholarly article is from the Bible. I want to read from Luke chapter 1, verses 1 through 4. In Luke chapter 1, verses 1 through 4, the Bible states, "Inasmuch as many have undertaken to compile an account of the things accomplished among us, just as they were handed down to us by those who from the beginning were eyewitnesses and servants of the word, it seemed fitting for me, as well, having investigated everything carefully from the beginning, to write it out for you in consecutive order, most excellent Theophilus, so that you may know the exact truth about the things you have been taught." This is from the New American Standard Version of the Bible. In closing, in reference to Luke's words, I cannot think of a more eloquent statement of how I want to conduct myself as a historian. So Luke's words and Marsden's book inspire me and give me courage to bring a Christian perspective to everything I do, including being a historian. I hope everyone is having a great week, and I look forward to viewing your videos. Thank you.